Hey BookTube, it's Sheila. Here bringing you another edition of my reviews of the Heir Chronicles. So I did read the Enchanter Heir, but obviously I couldn't read that until I read 3.5. Book 3.5 is actually called Dead to Me. It's a very short story. I don't even know. Can't remember how many pages. I'll have the link in the description down below because you can't get it with Kindle. It is absolutely free to read online, but it's not necessary to read. It does have one or two references just because it centers around Leisha, and she does mention it once or twice. So, worth it a little bit. I mean, what's it going to do? It's a free read and it's not very many pages. Go read it. But we're here today about the Enchanter Heir. Book number 4 from Cinda Chima in the Heir Chronicles, and this one is a whole new story. And by whole new story, I mean we still have references to our past characters. We still have Jack, Ellen, Seth, Maddie, Leisha. You get the gist. But this centers around 2 entirely new characters. This, I think, is 4 years later, and since we had the whole big ending in the Dragon Heir, we had to come up with something entirely new. So there's this thing called the Thornhill Massacre. Very sad, very unfortunate, but a whole bunch of the underguilds, the Anna Wizard Weir, there are so many different names for things. Cinda, calm down. She keeps calling people by either their first name or their last name or their nickname. And then there's Anna Weir and Anna Wizard Weir and guild and underguilds and servant guilds and so many names for things. Slow down. Anyway, tangent. So the underguilds, anyone who is not wizard, had formed a colony in Brazil, and there was an entire massacre. A lot of children survived, and by a lot I mean a couple hundred. So it's about 10 years after that massacre, so a bunch of the children are, say, 17, somewhere in there. But we're following one of them for the most part. His name is Jonah, another J. And we're following Emma. So this one's all about Jonah for the most part. I mean, we definitely follow Emma as well. We learn a lot about both of their characters. We actually have to learn a lot about all sorts of characters because there are so many new ones all at once. The previous books, they kind of had like their own arcs. We learned about Jack and his story finished. And as much as he was in the next story, the next one was about Seth and his story finished. Same thing with the Dragon Heir. It's about Maddie and that story finished. This one didn't finish quite the same. It is very obvious that you need the last book to finish the story. This one is more of a continuation. So in finishing this book, it didn't feel like the end. And that can be great in a series. It's interesting that she did both versions within one series, that she did the arcs, plus she did kind of series extension throughout more than one book. So I do enjoy both ways. It's just a little bit odd that she put it within the same series is all. But Jonah and Emma lead very different lives. He's part of kind of the Thornhill survivors, and they have their own school called Anchorage, and they kind of stay there trying to help all the kids feel better, trying to still get them through school. Jonah's an interesting character. He's an enchanter, so he can feel a lot of emotions from people, but one of his issues from the Thornhill poisoning was that his hands actually kill almost instantly. It's a fairly painless death, but he can't touch anyone, he can't do anything. So it makes it a little bit hard that he is able to kill, but he's also able to feel these emotions. I think Cinda does a really nice job of kind of balancing those two things, making him always feel this anguish about what he's doing, but he always feels like he has to do it. He feels like it's what is best. It's not like he goes around killing all the time, but it's just part of what he does. Emma, on the other hand, has no idea about the whole magical world. She has to come into that. She's living with her grandfather. She makes guitars, which is pretty cool. As far as I can tell, Cinda seems to do her research, and I know nothing about making guitars, but she actually has references about making them in there. She seems to do at least just enough research to appease someone who doesn't know anything. But who knows? Maybe if someone does make guitars and they're reading this book, maybe there are some inaccuracies. I'm not sure. Emma is a wonderfully strong character. She has her morals. She has the things that she just does. And what she likes referencing is her ironwood spine. So it's like, all right, sitting, and this is what we're going to do. And I really enjoy that. It's really nice that she has these consistencies with her characters. I believe at this point of writing this book, she had already written some or all of the Seven Realms series before she was revisiting the Heir Chronicles. So she definitely got some extra writing under her belt to be able to make this a little bit more than what the original three were. So obviously Emma and Jonah end up having interactions. It becomes a whole thing about Emma learning that she has any powers, and she learns it in a very awkward way. She has all this turmoil and upheaval in her life. She has so much going on and so little left to hold on to. So Jonah really kind of helps her, but doesn't want to get too close because he also doesn't want to tell her about his lethal touch, and because he thinks that that'll kind of turn her away. This poor man. So anyway, Emma and Jonah get into shenanigans, and half of them aren't even their fault. And then the book ends. So you gotta read the next one. So I'll see you in the next review. Bye, BookTube. Keep reading.